All right, we've finished the rear axle, we finished the steering. Now today we're gonna do the engine and the backrest. We're gonna start by putting the engine plate on here, how it'll sit. And then we'll put the engine on top of it. Okay, so with the engine sitting on there, on the plate, the chain gets real close to this bar right here, and it'll almost touch it. So depending on where we put the engine, it'll either make contact or it won't. So the most important part is getting this all in a straight line so the chain's not having to do some weird snake move to get onto the gears. It just needs to be straight so that the chain stays on. We don't want the engine turned to either side, we just want it to be straight. So one thing we can do to just avoid that bar is just have the engine sit back further and just take a couple of links out of the chain. I think what we'll do to make this easier on ourselves is we're gonna bolt the engine down to the plate, and that way we can move it all at once to kind of get a better idea of what we're actually changing. Okay, now we have the engine on the plate. Okay, so now we'll put the chain back on the gears and we'll see where we can have the engine sitting for it to work. Okay, now that we have the chain on, you can see it's not straight. Okay, it looks pretty straight like that if we have the engine sitting there exactly how it is. But you can see the chain has to come around this still and it'll rub the whole time, which isn't what we want. We don't want to have it rubbing the whole time. I don't want to weaken the back of the cart by cutting the bars because the last one was so bouncy anyway. We don't want to create problems with strength. We can slide this whole thing back, back a little bit, and then take some links out of it, maybe put a chain tensioner here. Maybe that's the play, make the chain a bunch shorter, have the engine just sit on the axle. Is that a better move? I don't know. I don't know if that's a better move. I don't really like how it looks like this. All right, we've been fiddling with this for like 10 minutes now, getting it where we want it. We have it clamped in a spot where it won't move. We're happy with it. So now we're gonna tack weld it on there, move it around a bit, make sure we like it still. And then we'll take the engine off and fully weld it up because I don't want to do a whole bunch of welding right next to this super leaky engine. You can just see the oil we've leaked out of this thing. The chain is still very loose, but that's because we actually want to do a chain tensioner on here. It won't look like this. This is just the old one we cut off. But we do want to have our own version of a tensioner on there so we can adjust it and make it tighter as we need to make it tighter. I think I do want a smidge more tension out of it though. Well, and the wheel has to sit right here. Like it's gotta be up tall. Because if we put the wheel down here, it's just gonna be in that and we can't have it low. So the wheel's gonna have to sit all the way up here for the tensioner, like that. It'll be a bit closer in and not welded to the engine because that'd be ridiculous. But like that, and that keeps us away from this bar. So we're not making contact with the bar. That's the solution we've come up with. So now the engine's not going anywhere. The plate's on there, we can roll this thing around and kind of see if it's going to come off or if we've made a mistake. Yes, this is our throttle cable. This is how it works. This is the throttle, like that. So when this sits over here and wraps around the edge of the cart, it'll wrap around the corner like this, and then you go push on this with your foot, you get throttle. You can watch the chain. It's super loose and it wiggles a ton right now, but it's moving in a fairly straight line, which is what we want. I think I'm happy with it how it is. we can just take the engine off and weld it on there now. And then we'll have to come up with a chain tensioner idea before we can really drive this thing, because that chain's gonna pop right off. Look how much slack there is. Okay, well that's all we have time for today, so we'll be back another day to finish all this up. Probably will be the same video though. Okay, so we're back. It's another day. We're gonna finish welding up this engine plate first thing, and then we're gonna put the engine back on and work on some kind of a chain tensioner, do the backrest, maybe take it for a test drive. We'll see how far we get. We also need to put the brakes back on, probably before the test drive. I'm not really sure when that'll get done though. Okay, let's get to it. We're gonna start by welding the front of this plate on to that bar right there. So we'll probably just hold it up and just get right in there along that seam. We have what I think is the prettiest weld on the whole cart just running along here. That looks good enough to me. We have it all welded across there, and the whole front. It's just holding the engine on there, so I don't see how much more stable it would really need to be. All right, the next thing we need to do is bolt the engine on and come up with a chain tensioner. There's the engine on there. Now we have to line it up and get it bolted down. There was a fourth bolt that would go in this, so we'd have a point on all four corners, but we didn't notice that we had it out and then we welded something into the hole. So now it's just 3 mounting points. But you know, 3 is more than enough. Some might even say it's above average or more than necessary, so I think 3 is a good number. I mean, really, you can get away with 2 as long as you use it right. Okay, we have this sitting on here, just like we have before. We got it where we think we want it, so we tacked it all around, just little ones everywhere. And it looks like it's sitting pretty straight up, but that's actually where it's most comfortable when you sit down on it. So we're gonna get it fully welded in now, and we'll come back when we're done with that. So when it's going forward, I really like how it works. So when it's going backward, it's horrendous. So let me weld this other side. Well, let's check the tension. Oh, that's good tension. All right, I will say I like this setup a lot less than I liked the old setup, because look at all that movement the tire can do. But in this setup, there's just not a good way to have something coming across here. I mean, we could do like, imagine this is bigger, something like that to try and give it some stability on this side. But, you know, we'll see just how well this chain tensioner does. If it does fine, don't need to fix it. If it does eventually start bending back and we get less tension on the chain each time we ride the cart, we can do something to fix it. But for now, if it works, right? Okay, I guess the next thing is to drive it just a little bit and see what we think. I'll just have to do hand throttle. Yep, this identifies as a throttle cable. All right, well this is the first test run the cart's ever had, so if something doesn't break immediately, I'll just be surprised. I have no brakes. I don't know how to stop. Oh, okay, thank goodness. So the chain did come off, and you can see our tensioner wheel is totally bent. So what I'm gonna say happened is the wheel bent and started forcing the chain off this direction. So yeah, as you can see, it just bent immediately. The wheel didn't move because it's welded on, and the plate didn't bend, but this little attachment point did bend. So we'll have to do something like that to keep it from happening again like that. But good trial run, I'd say. Time for the walk of shame back to the house. Okay, walk of shame over. Time to fix it. The carburetor leaks like crazy, so that's dripping gas right on there. This is all gas. So now we're gonna weld on there with dripping gas, and that'll be good for it. All right, we're just gonna percussively maintenance this wheel back forward a little bit so there's some more tension on the chain. So we're back to a point with decent tension on the chain, and the chain alignment being fairly straight off of this gear, so it's not likely to come off. So now we'll have to do what I said earlier and put something like this to try and keep some tension on it and keep it from being able to walk away. So that's the idea, just that bar across to there so that it has some support on both sides, and all of the force on this wheel is going to be pushing it back and up, so this will be holding it forward. We might still lose a little bit of chain tension, but I think this will be a lot better with some support on this side. Okay, I'm just going to get the rest of this welded up, and then we'll probably test drive it again and see if it works any better. Okay, so here's where we're at. This is all welded on. This is our throttle, handheld throttle. We put the brakes back on, so they're on there. And it started raining, but I think we'll just go test it in the rain anyway. Once again, this is only the second drive, so I'm expecting something to go wrong just about as quickly as it did the first time. Well, that was a crazy drive. It flings mud everywhere. These front tires, there's nothing stopping them from just flinging all the mud right up at you. Other than that, let's check the chain tension. It's about the same, maybe a little bit looser, but still good. The chain stayed on. The engine was like super down on power because I had it mostly choked the whole time, so we weren't going very fast. Other than that, I'm pretty happy with how that drive went. We just need to do some pedals and some finishing touches, and this build will be pretty much done and ready to be beat on until it breaks. We'll do all those finishing touches another day. That's all we'll do today though. So many bugs over there. Oh my gosh. Holy crap. I have so many bugs in my eyes right now.